Obesity and eating disorders are now the biggest cost to this country's health service since the Second World War. With 12 million obese people and an equal number suffering from some sort of disordered eating, the UK's relationship with food is worse than ever. It's time to find out why, as 9 Supersizers and 9 Superskinnies enter Dr. Christian Jessen's all-new feeding clinic to swap diets and get to grips with what's causing them to eat so badly.
It's a diet swap. And I'm playing my part, but you're not playing yours.
And our Supersizers are in for a supersize shock as we send them stateside to meet some of the biggest people on the planet.
I don't want to die.
Plus, for the first time, we explore not only anorexia, but the secret world of bulimia.
The real binge for me would be literally like, I would feel like a shark on a feeding frenzy.
So this series will be delving even deeper into our increasingly dysfunctional relationship with food and putting the brakes on the dangerous diets that are driving some to risk not only their health, but also their lives.
Welcome to Supersize versus Superskinny. Checking into our brand new feeding clinic tonight are foodaholic Louise.
I love food.
And serial meal skipper Josh.
If I could get away with not eating them, yeah, I probably would.
They'll have 5 days to radically rethink their eating habits with the help of Dr. Christian Jessen. This week's Supersizer is 39-year-old Louise Hayes from Cambridgeshire.
I love food. If I want to cook it and I want to eat it, that's what I do.
So, breakfast?
I'm a bit of a fry-up queen. I like to make a big, hearty sandwich out of bacon and, I like butter running out of it, and the greasier the better.
Lunch?
I love kebabs. I like the chilli sauce, I like the hot feeling in my mouth. I like fries. Mayonnaise is my big thing. I love mayonnaise on everything.
Dinner?
I like chicken burgers, normal burgers, cheeseburgers.
For Louise, food is an important part of family life.
I love to have my family round once, maybe twice a week, and I like to cook them 5 or 6 courses.
Yes, you heard right. 5 or 6 courses.
Food in our family is a big part, really. A plate of our food sometimes would feed 4 people.
I tend to eat off big meat plates as big, double the size of your head. I think food is an addiction. I really need help to get away from the craving of the food. I can't stop eating. I just don't want to be fat anymore.
Louise knows she needs help, and she's come to the right place.
So you're 5'6" tall.
At 21 stone 5 pounds, Louise is 10 stone overweight. Just like her portions, she's double the woman she should be.
Pop your dressing gown on and have a seat. Right, Louise, let's start off by talking about your BMI, which I've worked out at 48.5. Healthy BMI for a woman, about 18.5. BMI's 225. You're morbidly obese. That means significant risk of illness. I'll give you another 5 to 10 years, okay, before you have serious problems because of your weight. You've got 2 smashed-in knees.
I have,
What
yes.
happened?
I had a car crash with the first one,
Yeah.
and the second one I fell over a tent guide rope.
Being the weight that you are will make them severely arthritic to a point of possibly crippling you, actually, in about 10 years' time. That's why it's so important that you get your weight down, all right?
Yes.
And you have a son as well?
Yes.
How old is he?
He's 5.
I mean, the problem is with our kids is that they do watch us.
He does like takeaways. Because
Age 5?
At age 5. My son Taylor, he likes chips, chicken nuggets, pizza, probably a lot of the stuff that he shouldn't be eating. Do you like burgers?
And double burgers.
And what, sorry?
Double burgers.
Double burgers. I would be devastated if Taylor followed in my footsteps. I don't want him to be overweight.
Louise's love of convenience food may be rubbing off on her son, but the other man in her life is getting no loving at all.
Louise's weight does affect our relationship. At the moment, she doesn't get undressed. I can't be in the same room as her and all that.
In the bedroom with the husband, things are not going so well, are they?
No, they're
Tell
not.
me why.
I just can't can't undress in front of him. I can't have sex with him at all.
Right.
No.
If you haven't been able to lose weight in the past, what is going to be the difference this time?
Because I don't want Taylor to be obese. I want to see him grow up. I don't want to die in 10 years' time. I don't want to be crippled and in a wheelchair and him have... I'm embarrassed.
OK. It's going to be tough, but I think now you're in the position where you've just got to go for it, haven't you?
I have.
She certainly will. And to break her habit of overeating, she's going to be swapping diets with a guy who hardly eats a thing. 21-year-old Josh Evans from Southport.
People have called me things like lanky, gangly, stretch. People have compared me to skeletons before now.
Josh doesn't own a motorbike or a horse, but finds clothes that bulk up his frame.
It doesn't show the fact that I am a really skinny guy. It will make me look bigger than I actually am.
Josh rarely eats and uses his 20-a-day habit to fill the gaps left by the lack of food.
If I'm hungry and there's no food in the house, say, I would tend to smoke more.
He doesn't eat breakfast. He very, very rarely eats more than once a day.
If I don't have an appetite, I won't eat. And if I don't, I've been known to not have an appetite for anywhere up to 3 days. If I could get away with not eating, then yeah, I probably would.
He's probably his slimmest now that he's ever been. Dangerously thin, I would say.
It does sometimes worry me a little bit that I should weigh more than I am.
6'2" tall, 117 pounds.
6'2" Josh weighs just 8 stone 5. In fact, he's 4 stone underweight.
Why do you think you are so light?
Well,
Shall I give you a clue?
what's that?
You don't eat anything.
There's probably a good reason for
And how
it.
long has that been going on for?
21 years, something like that. If I'm hungry, I'll eat, but it's not often that I am hungry.
Why is that?
I don't know, it probably just doesn't interest me as much as it should.
What time do you tend to go to bed?
About 3 a.m.
Yeah, and so you don't get up until
About 3 p.m.
3 p.m. So breakfast, lunch, we've missed those, you know. There's no way we can get you kind of eating regular balanced meals with that sort of routine. You smoke as a substitute for a meal. It suppresses your appetite, and that is how you can get through the day on so little food. If you're serious about putting on weight, then you need to be serious about stopping smoking, okay? You're now dreading this, aren't you? Absolutely dreading it.
Louise and Josh are polar opposites. To see just how different their diets are, they need to come face to face. It's time Supersize met Superskinny.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I weigh 8 stone 5.
I'm 21.5 stone. Josh being only 8.5 stone was a bit of a shock. I can't get my head around, you know, a young boy like that at 21 not eating kebabs and pizzas and McDonald's and Kentucky, so we'll see why.
Well, all is about to be revealed. To make Josh eat more and Louise eat less, they're going to be swapping diets for the next 5 days. But first, they need to know what they're taking on.
Josh, we're going to start with you, and we're going to start with your breakfast. You are kidding me.
No.
Do you always start in the morning with a fag, do you?
It's one of the best ones of the day, yeah.
Sorry, Louise, I do apologise. Bear in mind, we're not going to make you smoke the fags. Let's have a look at your actual breakfast. Let's see what you eat.
I don't eat breakfast. That's better.
So by lunchtime, you're obviously quite packish.
Or maybe not.
How often do you tend to eat lunch in a week?
Maybe 3 times a week, something like that.
Fast food? Cup of soup. It's all saying to me, I don't really want to cook anything. Right, well, we must go on to dinners, eh? Your lovely nutritious starter of a fag.
Other than cigarettes, Josh ate fajitas, spaghetti bolognese, pizza, and half a tin of sausage and beans, eating only 4 nights out of 7.
Louise?
A little bit speechless. That's a week's worth of food, yeah.
A guy of Josh's size and age needs 2,500 calories a day. Skipping breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner means on average Josh is consuming just 1,200 calories.
The only bit of fresh fruit or veg that you had in the entire week was the little bit of limp lettuce in the fajita that you had. That was it. You are essentially starving.
Seeing all the cigarettes in the tube did make me think that maybe I smoke more than I should and that I eat less than I should. To actually see the amount that I would eat in a week was almost pitiful.
Louise, it's your turn. bacon, egg, cereal. Oh gosh. So you would have a full fry-up, essentially, every day of the week?
We're only at breakfast, and already Louise's tube is level with Josh's entire week's worth of food.
All right, let's have a look at lunches now. Nice big cheese-filled baguettes. Crisps? Oh, yes. Takeaway fried chicken. Josh, tell me what you think.
Daunting.
Well, let's go on to dinners. That's a roast dinner with some pâté and some cheese.
Just one dinner.
That's one dinner. How often would this happen, actually?
A couple of times a week.
The roast dinner, about 800 calories. Your starter of pâté, same calorie count. And pudding, another 600 calories. Cheese, another 600, 700, 800, depending how much you eat. Chocolates, do you see where you're just adding in?
But dinners don't stop there. A double portion of chili, burgers, chips and takeaways.
How many days a week would you have takeaways?
Probably every day.
On top of mammoth main meals, Louise is a snack machine.
Sandwich, crisps.
Washing all that down with sugary tea, lager and alka-pops means Louise is eating 4,000 calories a day, double the recommended 2,000 calorie intake. Her diet has twice the amount of sugar and 4 times the recommended daily amount of saturated fat. Louise is eating for 2, putting her at risk of high cholesterol, diabetes, stroke and heart disease.
Seeing my week's worth of food is quite shocking.
Coming up, Louise struggles to resist food.
I could eat it right now. Oh.
Whereas Josh finds it overwhelming.
It's making me sweat.
And Louise receives a warning from America.
Louise, start getting this weight off now, before it's too late.
Food addict Louise and meal skipper Josh have checked into the feeding clinic to conquer their battles with food. It's the first dinner of the diet swap. And it's Louise's twice-weekly 5-courser of bread and pâté, roast dinner, cheese, biscuits and grapes, jam, roly-poly and custard, coffee and chocolates versus Josh's half a tin of bangs and beans.
Apologies.
Why?
Because that's not very much and this is. So would you cook this yourself then?
I do, yeah. I like to cook roast dinner. I like to sit socially with my family and have meals. And we can eat for 3, 4, 5 hours.
It is quite daunting to look at. Because I live in a flat and I don't live with my mum anymore, I've not had a roast dinner in a very, very long time.
Josh is still eating the starter, but Louise is finished. Her bowl empty. All Louise can do is watch.
I really don't think I'll be able to finish all of this. Very, very full. It's making me sweat.
Josh finishes the main course, but leaves his 4 other courses, and instead has his usual meal-replacing cigarette.
Dr. Christian gave me some rules to follow. One thing, I have to quit smoking. I do feel actually quite pleased that he has asked me to quit. I can cut down slowly. So I am quite optimistic about this, yeah.
But as Josh appeases his addiction, going cold turkey is proving tough for foodaholic Louise.
It's a lot to take in, an awful lot. Just not being able to go to the fridge or go to the... Yeah, it'll be all right. I'm doing it for a reason.
It's the next morning, and Josh and Louise are facing day 2 with trepidation.
I don't think Louise will be happy about how much she has to eat today.
My worst nightmare would be no food at all.
She spoke too soon. Poor Louise gets nothing, in exchange for her Supersize breakfast fry-up, and nothing again for her bumper baguette lunch.
I don't know how you do it. That breakfast properly filled me up.
Josh may be bursting, but after 18 hours without food, Louise is running on empty.
Me not very happy, but hey-ho.
Louise is now ravenous and has to prepare yet another snack for Josh.
I'm making Josh a peanut butter sandwich. One of my favourite things. Lashings of butter, peanut butter mixed in with it. Oh, I could eat it right now. Oh. Sorry. I took it out again. I want to lick my fingers and I can't. It's like...
To take their minds off food, Louise and Josh take a walk down memory lane. Will looking through their pasts help pinpoint where their problems with food began?
At what point in your life did you stop eating for 2 or 3 days? Because I just can't get my head around that.
It was probably around this point where it first started. I'm 19 years old. It was the end of the month when I was waiting for a couple of days to be paid, and I didn't have any money left, and I didn't have any food in. I'd just not eat. And if I didn't have anything to eat, I'd just have a cigarette.
How much did you weigh around that time?
Around about 8 stone, 8.5 stone.
But Josh hasn't always been underweight.
You can see from this one that my face is quite chubby, it's quite chunky, got nice round cheeks and everything. Here, I'm about 14. My face is starting to look a little bit paler and a little bit skinnier.
So what was going on here with food and your life? And
Well, that was when I was in high school. In high school, I wouldn't have breakfast. I'd get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'd make my lunch for school.
So your mum wouldn't make your lunch for you?
No, because of the fact that I wanted independence from an early age, I wouldn't want to put on them.
See, that's a really early age to have to decide yourself when you're going to be eating and what you're going to be eating. If your mother were to give you breakfast and give you dinner and give you all the meals that you should have had at that age.
From this point, we always had dinner together. Up
That's
until this
just
point.
dinner, though. That's only one meal a day. And you're here, and now you're here just having dinner. You're not helping yourself, and you're not letting anybody else help you either.
No.
From that age.
It was quite surreal to look at the timeline of my life and see where this had actually come to, because it actually started a lot sooner than I thought it had.
Skipping meals at school age sparked Josh's problems. But did Louise's overeating start as young?
So how much did you weigh when you were a kid?
Oh, I certainly wasn't overweight. I was about 6 on this one. This picture here, I was around 14. These ones were when I was at my slimmest, when I was around 24.
So when did you start to be a little bit worried about your weight?
I was in a relationship with a person that wasn't particularly nice. He used to call me fat and ugly. I was actually on holiday with him there. As you can see that photograph, he's actually been ripped off it. My self-esteem was so low and my confidence was not that much, so I left him. And then I started to comfort eat. I think I'd probably put on about 4 stone in a year. When I left him, I was at my lowest, and food was my comfort, and that's what I'd done. And I believe that it's comforted me all through the rest of my life. Although my life is all right now, I don't think I've ever got over this bit.
You've got so much going for you now, you can't let that hang over you for the rest of your life. And if you do, you won't stop eating.
It's just nice to hear someone say it's not actually my fault, because all these years I blamed myself. I've got this relationship now, and he's a million times better than this person.
An emotional past triggered Louise's overeating, but Dr. Christian's hoping an insight into her possible future might help her stop.
I think you're doing really well thinking about the emotional reasons why you eat. And I've got something that I want you to watch now that I think will just take that a step further.
My name is Karen Ferguson. I'm 56 years old, and I'm 41 stone. Food means everything to me, but it's also been a curse to me. It has gotten me into a nursing rehabilitation home. Because I can't go to the restroom on my own, I have to wear a diaper all the time. Someone changes it several times a day. I can't even reach to wipe myself. I have to get other people to do that for me. Because of my size, I hold a lot of moisture under where you're big. So under your breast, under your belly, it causes yeast infections. It gets real red and inflamed and burns and itches and has an odor to it. I have high blood pressure and diabetes and pulmonary artery disease. The majority of my weight did come on from an abusive relationship. He would tell me how ugly I was and how stupid I was and that nobody else would have me, nobody else would want me, and I believed it. I got a lot of comfort out of the foods I was eating. You know, it was like very aggressive eating. At 42, I was on my way to work and had a heart attack. My children are growing up without me, and I have a lot of grandchildren, and they're all ages. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of this wheelchair in order to go back home. I have no idea what's going to happen. Louise, I understand that you're going through what I've been going through for years, but you've got a little boy to think about, and you've got a life that's valuable. Start getting this weight off now before it's too late.
Wow. Exactly the same story as you.
If I don't do something about it, that'll be me in another few years. I don't want to be like that. I don't want Taylor to come and see me in a nursing home like that. I don't want my husband to help me wash, and I mean, it's getting to the point now where he helps me put my shoes on.
I'm going to fly you out to America to meet her and to spend some time with her. I think it's going to be really good for you.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be very, very difficult, but so important.
I just don't want Taylor to see me like that. He's called me fat before now, so I can't imagine. He'll never call me that again, ever. So that's it. Yeah.
What a beautiful day.
It's the third morning in the feeding clinic, and thanks to Josh's meagre diet, Louise has now gone without breakfast, lunch and dinner for 36 hours.
I've got a headache, I'm shaky, I didn't sleep very well. I want to tell him how bad it's getting, how frustrating it is.
Morning, Louise.
Good morning, Josh.
At home, Josh doesn't get up till 3 p.m. and is oblivious to breakfast. So unfortunately for Louise, she swaps a sausage sarnie for her second barren breakfast.
It's been 36 hours now since I've eaten, and I've still not got anything in front of me. I feel very irritable, grumpy. I don't want to do anything. Does it ring any bells?
As a general rule, yeah, but I just thought that's because that was what my personality was like.
And how are you feeling this morning?
I've woken up with the feeling that I don't have an appetite and all I want is a cigarette.
You know, you had one yesterday, and I just think maybe today we should just try and not smoke and see what happens.
I really do want to smoke today, so I reckon today's going to be a hard day.
Fags may be off Josh's lunchtime menu, but finally, after 42 hours, Louise gets something to eat.
That's your lunch.
I don't think I can go another couple of hours without any food, and especially just that.
So it's sweets versus a chicken burger, chips, Coke, and extra fried chicken.
Alright, so why is it that you're crying?
Why? Why do you think I'm crying? Because my body's just shut. It's just not functioning properly. You've got to start eating properly. You can't live on that. Sooner not eat it. I would sooner not eat it. I honestly can't work Josh out at the moment. I don't think it's about him not loving food, because I think he likes food. You eat most things. It's not like you're not eating it, isn't it? Is it? So why have that?
Because that's cheap. And it's
Don't buy a packet of cigarettes then.
We're halfway through the swap, and I don't think Josh realises how serious his fags for food habit is. I need him to realise just what his appalling diet could be doing to his health. Otherwise, there's no point in him being here. So, this is my gallery. Gallery that's very specific to you. Come and have a look at this picture here. What is going on there?
It looks like alopecia, hair loss.
Yeah, it's protein. Protein is very important in the body for building muscles, maintaining, regenerating, repairing. If you're not getting enough of it in your diet, then what on earth is the point of your body wasting protein by growing hair? Come and have a look at this picture next. What do we think here?
Bad teeth.
We heard of scurvy.
Yeah.
It was something that sailors got because they used to live off a very limited diet with very little fresh fruit and vegetables. Gums bleed, they swell, teeth fall out, they get very poor, you get horrible sores on your body, your skin becomes very dry and crusted. Deficiency in vitamin C leads to scurvy. You're deficient in vitamin C, but there's an added issue with you. Smokers' requirements of vitamin C, we think, are about double non-smokers' requirements. What's that?
A heart, I think.
Can you see these bits here? They're blackened. That's heart muscle that's been deprived of oxygen and has died. That person died of a heart attack. It's a complete myth that only fat people have cholesterol deposits, blocked arteries and get heart attacks. Super skinny people are just as at risk.
Heart disease is the UK's biggest killer, responsible for 1/4 of premature deaths in men. At risk are the 60% who don't eat their 5 a day, and smokers who are twice as likely to have a heart attack. Guilty of both, Josh could be heading for an early grave.
If I keep going the way that I'm going, I'm going to lose all my hair, all my teeth, and eventually my life. Shit.
It's been a tough day at the feeding clinic, but things are looking up in the kitchen.
I know, actual food.
After a 48-hour wait, it's pasta and sauce for Louise versus a large takeaway doner kebab with chilli sauce, mayonnaise and chips for Josh.
I'm really enjoying this. I'm actually getting quite full.
Really? Yeah. Well, now that is a good start, isn't it?
And after a fag-free day, it seems Josh's appetite is making a comeback.
Before dinner, I was actually feeling hungry. I did want to eat something. Even that, as a slow start, is still a good one.
Like Louise and Josh in our feeding clinic, a growing number of people are struggling to maintain healthy and normal relationships with food. 1 in 4 adults admit they feel guilty after eating and believe they'd be happier thinner. And an incredible 6 out of 10 women say they hate the way they look. It's no surprise, therefore, that 1 in 100 women have a clinically diagnosed eating disorder. This series will be following 3 women whose eating disorders present themselves in very different ways. 32-year-old Meena Krishna is suffering from bulimia. Bulimia sees sufferers craving food, then secretly binging on large amounts. The binge is followed by feelings of guilt and self-hatred, which leads them to vomit. This illness affects 5 times as many people as anorexia, but is less obvious, as its sufferers often look a healthy weight.
I describe bulimia as a compulsion, almost like being possessed by something else.
34-year-old Emma Paul is struggling with anorexia nervosa, an illness characterised by restricting food intake. It affects almost 7,000 people in the UK each year.
Constantly thinking about food all day, every day, constantly in fear of it.
19-year-old Erin Ruddick straddles both illnesses. Her condition is called anorexia binge-purge subtype. Like anorexia nervosa, sufferers restrict what they eat, so are often very underweight. However, their love of food leads them to lose control, secretly binging, then vomiting.
A real binge for me would be literally like, I would feel like a shark on a feeding frenzy.
Their eating disorders currently control every part of their lives, as well as affecting those closest to them. Over the coming 8 weeks, they'll be taking part in a course designed to tackle their issues surrounding food. The course will be supervised by consultant psychiatrist Dr. Helena Fox and led by eating disorders dietitian Ursula Philpott.
Today is the first day I'll be meeting the group and they'll be meeting each other. I want to gain an insight into what the group eat on a day-to-day basis, so I've asked them to bring along a typical day's diet.
Meena's day starts with a balanced breakfast.
A typical breakfast is porridge or muesli. Then it's quite likely I'll have a binge, as you can see, and throw it up. The smell's making me feel a bit ill. I hate this kind of stuff. It makes me feel sick just to look at it. This disgusting stuff, I hate it.
Meena's been struggling with different eating disorders for as long as she can remember.
I think I've been caught in the cycle of eating disorders for over 10 years, maybe 15 or 17. So that would be the longest relationship of my life.
She was first diagnosed with anorexia nervosa in 2005, and at her worst, weighed just 6 stone 2. By 2007, she was binging and vomiting excessively, and was diagnosed with low-weight bulimia.
A typical binge will last somewhere between half an hour and 45 minutes. I usually binge and purge about between 3 and 6 times a day. A binge could consist of a large family-sized trifle, maybe 2 or 3 packets of cupcakes, a packet of French fancies and several packets of biscuits, and usually a few large bars of chocolate as well.
Meena's huge binges can contain up to 30,000 calories each time.
She's been known to eat tubs of cream, bags of sugar, on particularly bad occasions, things out of the bin.
It is amazing how much I can put away and still stand up straight and act normal.
To me, bulimia is something, it's akin to addiction, I feel. It's like some member of your family is ill-treating themselves and there doesn't seem to be anything you can do about it.
Eating disorders are really difficult to recover from because of the impact of malnutrition and starvation on the brain. that makes all the symptoms, the behaviours, the thoughts and the feelings worse. So that even if one wants to get out of an eating disorder, and even if one is motivated to do so, one can find oneself swamped in a morass of negative thoughts and feelings.
Suffering with anorexia, Emma only manages a black coffee to kickstart her day.
Just to go with the coffee in the morning isn't adequate. Breakfast is about break fast, to break the fast overnight, and a coffee will not break the fast because it's just water really, especially if it's got no milk in it.
Anorexia tends to affect women in their mid to late teens, but a growing number of women are being affected by it in later life. 34-year-old Emma Paul developed anorexia just 3 years ago, but it's rapidly taken a firm grip.
The eating disorder affects everything. I was about to say everything I do. I think I should say everything I don't do.
After travelling the world for 2 years, moving back to Bournemouth to live with her mother left Emma feeling unhappy and unfulfilled.
From being my own person, being totally independent, doing what I wanted, when I wanted. Back here, it was back to sort of 9 to 5, and I just started to lose my energy inside myself.
Her new focus in life became training for a marathon.
People started commenting on my size and saying that I was losing weight and that I was getting too thin.
In October 2008, Emma was diagnosed with anorexia, and just 7 months later, her weight dropped to just 5 stone, and she was hospitalised for 4 months. To differentiate between herself and her illness, she's named her inner critic Ed, short for eating disorder.
I had to label it as something to try and distinguish between whether it was Emma or Ed that was talking. It scares me to think how many years I've lost already and how long he might still hold on to me for. I want a life.
Erin's struggle with food begins every day at breakfast.
Often I won't eat breakfast or my lunch, or sometimes I'll eat breakfast or lunch but I've vomited through the day, I'm feeling really low.
Erin now realises she was displaying anorexic tendencies in her early teens. At 14, she developed bulimia, secretly binging and purging, until finally telling her parents and seeking professional help at 17. As her weight dropped lower, she was diagnosed later that year with anorexia with a binge-purge subtype.
People don't understand that there are different types of anorexia, and I'm not someone who hates food, I'm someone who loves food. I love cooking, I love anything to do with food. Being sick and trying to be thin, for me, I don't think it's really about looking better. It's more about the way I feel about myself and my low self-esteem. I get such highs when I'm eating, such a rush of happiness, pretty much like a drug addict, I suppose.
Just like a loving look on her face when she's eating her food. It completely dominates her life. She doesn't think about much else apart from food, to be honest.
But Erin's obsession with food is having a devastating effect on her everyday life.
I've got no concentration, I've got no energy. Everything about university has been affected by my eating disorder negatively. I can't stay awake in lectures. I've got no fun left in me because of the eating disorder. I'm young now, I want to live my life while I'm young. I don't want to have to put that off. I'd rather be dead than live with the eating disorder forever.
Erin, Emma and Mina all have lives that are completely dominated by food.
I'm hoping over the next 8 weeks to see some behaviour change from all members of the group, and for the group to get much more insight into why they do what they do and what they may need to do to start to recover.
Next week, Ursula encourages the group to confront their fear of food head-on in the supermarket.
Eating something like that will just make me think about being sick, because that's the sort of thing I eat in order to be sick.
If you've been affected by any of the issues raised, go to our website, channel4.com/Supersize v Superskinny. Back in the feeding clinic, it's the final meal of the swap. And it's microwaved spaghetti bolognese versus a giant-sized portion of sausage casserole with peas and 9 roast potatoes.
Do you think that your little boy is now going to learn what you've learned from this through you?
Yeah, I'm going to teach him to cook healthily, not eat so much, great big portions. I mean, sometimes he has one of them plates that big. Saturday I'm going to have a smashing session with all of them, and they're all going out the window. Oh, Josh, I'm now going to eat my last mouthful of the small meal that you gave me, and you finished the meal that I gave you. You've devoured it.
Yes. Proud.
I'm proud of you. Oh yeah, baby.
And on that glorious note of appreciation from Josh, it's the end of an emotional but successful swap. The following morning, and it's time to say farewell to the feeding clinic. To achieve their goals, Louise and Josh have been given diet plans to follow.
I think I've learned enough to lose weight.
For years I've been in the same routine and it's done me no favours, but even after just a few days I'm getting up earlier, eating more, and the best thing, I'm smoking far less than I was.
Okay, take care. Josh and Louise will be reunited in a few months' time for their final weigh-in. Before that, Louise has a date in America with a 41-stone woman whose own comfort eating has had dire consequences.
See where it bows out? Thousands of fractures in my foot. You either live or you give up.
America is the world's fattest country, and Texas one of its heaviest states. Here, 29% of adults are obese. With nearly a quarter of British adults critically overweight, we're not far behind. On doctor's orders, Supersizer Louise has flown 5,000 miles to meet her American counterpart, 41-stone Karen Ferguson.
She put on weight for the same reasons that I put on weight. You know, having a bad relationship, comfort eating. I think it's going to be quite an emotional experience.
Being told they were fat and ugly by past partners led Louise and Karen to pile on the pounds. But last year, 56-year-old Karen became so obese she had to be rescued from her home and taken into care. This is no jolly for Louise, but a glimpse into her future should she carry on comfort eating.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
It's good to see and meet you. But I want you to see what the life is like and what it really is.
I'll help you as much as I can.
Oh, I know that you will.
Karen is mostly bedbound. At 41 stone, she's unable to get up without help.
I just hate laying on my head.
Seeing Karen led in that bed, not being able to get up on her own, not being able to get dressed on her own, or go to the toilet on her own, it was a big shock.
Yeah.
That whole privacy's been taken away for being overweight.
I hope you don't mind doing this. See where it bows out? I have a condition called Charcot foot. It consists of thousands of fractures in my foot that can't be fixed.
Diabetes is a main cause of Charcot foot. Bones weaken and break, and it can lead to deformity, disability, and in extreme cases, amputation.
You either live or you give up. I've got to live and see a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm only 56 and I'm fixing to have my 5th great-grandchild.
Unable to care for herself independently, Karen's been at the nursing home for 18 months. She only sees family when they can visit her.
Does your family come and see you often?
As often as they can. My daughter maybe once a month, my son maybe twice a month, and then I have a son that never comes.
To get an insight into what life is like for Karen's loved ones, Louise quizzes Karen's daughter, Jerry.
It's hard for me to see Karen as she is in this home, in this environment. And how hard is it for you?
It's very difficult. I mean, I should be able to, go to lunch and, we should be able to go shopping, and we're not able to do that.
I mean, you've got your children and your grandchildren, and obviously Mum's got great-grandchildren. How's it affected them? Do they like coming and visiting Grandma, or...?
Oh, no, they can't stand the smell. They don't like coming here at all.
Me and your mum have been through very similar things with relationships and one thing and another and comfort eating, and she's given me the inspiration, really, to do something about it.
It's awesome. As with her, I don't know how much hope we've got.
You remember me in this bed, and you remember what you can end up like. I want you to stay hard and stay tough. This is like a last chance at, her age and all. for her to get this weight off and live healthfully.
The chip that I had on my shoulder about, past relationships has gone. I'm never going to live where Karen does. Never.
Sadly, Karen doesn't receive specialised obesity treatment as she's in an old people's home. But since Louise's visit, her care has increased with ongoing physiotherapy to keep her as mobile as possible. A few months ago, Louise and Josh left the feeding clinic to embark on new healthy lifestyles. Today, Dr. Christian wants to see how they've been getting on.
I do feel a bit nervous about coming back, but I am feeling quite optimistic about it.
Tell me how the last few months have been.
I'm actually eating breakfast now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But the bigger thing is I am no longer replacing meals with cigarettes. I have completely cut down from 20 to maybe 3 a day.
Really? Honestly?
Honestly.
Good.
I've started cooking for my family as well. So we'd have like Mexican nights and Indian nights and things like that.
I wasn't expecting you to make quite so many changes. You sound like you have done.
This is only the start of what I want to do, what I want to achieve. It really has put me on the right track and it's made me feel so much more positive about everything now.
So Louise, tell me how it's all been going.
Changed my whole life, really.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not exaggerating that,
No,
just for me.
everything about food has changed, exercise has changed. I don't snack anymore, I don't binge. I just feel so good about everything that I don't need to do it anymore.
And because you're eating differently now, has your family's eating habits also changed?
We don't have as many takeaways. We don't have the massive family meals that we used to have before.
So hopefully Taylor is now seeing a different way of eating and hopefully enjoying it as well.
Yes, yes.
It's amazing hearing you talking now. It's a completely different person in a way.
I feel fantastic.
So it all sounds good, but what will the scales say?
I'm hopeful that I have lost some weight. I've stuck to the eating plans. I am quietly confident.
But before the results are revealed, it's time Supersize and Superskinny were reunited.
Oh, I'm brilliant. How are you?
You look beautiful. Look at you. Break it up now. Stop flirting with me. Come on. So, nice to see each other again.
Indeed.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Yes. He's filled out a bit here.
Show me your six-pack. Go on, check this
I'm
out.
quite proud of it myself.
Look at this.
Wow.
Yeah, so someone's been doing something. Right. Do you think you've gained any weight?
I hope so.
You hope
Definitely
so?
hope so.
You've put on 3 pounds. Just think, you keep this up. 6 months, a year, 2 years, what's going to happen to you?
Bigger and better.
Couldn't be prouder of you, actually. I really couldn't. The changes that you have made are just phenomenal. You pleased with them? Yeah? And then you, Louise? Do you think we've gained or lost?
Well, I'm hoping I've lost.
What was your target?
Well, a stone would have been nice.
You've lost 3 stone and 1 pound. That's about a stone a month that you've managed to lose. Absolutely phenomenal.
I am ecstatic. I've lost 3 stone, 1 pound now, and I intend to lose some more. This is definitely the start of something new.
Today has been absolutely fantastic. I might not have gained the weight that I wanted, but this is just the start of something really, really good.
Next week, 2 Amy's with a name in common, but little else.
I'm finding it quite hard.
A telling warning from America on the perils of obesity.
I wish I knew then what I know now.
And why food shopping is a nightmare when you have an eating disorder.
Looking at all the yummy cheesecakes almost scares me a little bit. Thinking about trying to keep them in.
That's next Tuesday at 8.